Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Lovely to have you along for the ride. I'm going to let you in on a little something here, okay? We got Kellen Moore to talk about. He addressed the media training camp. That was great. Everything you wanted to hear, I think you heard. We also have James Bradberry being as honest as anyone has ever been honest about his current station with his current football team. He used a Doug Peterson line, and I always give credit to Doug Peterson for this because dealing with the Sam Bradford, Carson Wentz, who's going to be your starter? Remember that conversation from a billion years ago, it feels like? He always used the term, oh, who's your starting quarterback? And I think it was Jeff McClain that asked the question. So who's your starting quarterback right now? And the only thing that Doug Peterson really heard was right now. Well, right now it's Sam Bradford. Right now? Well, I don't. What about next week? Well, I don't know. I mean, right now it's Sam Bradford. The term "right now" has about as much shelf life as I don't know, less than milk. Let's just put it that way. All right, like it's cream cheese. I don't know. It's got no shelf life. All right, right now is already over. As soon as I pronounce the W and now, it's already in the past. So it doesn't matter anymore. And James Bradberry jumped on that over the weekend. Right now. Well, right now I'm on the team. Yeah, all right. And he tries to be as versatile as possible. There's a lot of me that admires that about anybody. You're going to be trying to be a starter at any possible position, be a valuable asset to the team. His words. Okay, great. As long as you're not playing corner. Because I think we're all over that. And I also got the feeling, listening to James Bradberry throughout the weekend, that he has heard everything everyone said. And there's one thing in particular that he said that I just went, I don't believe you. I don't believe that at all. And we'll get to that. Everything just continues to be positive stuff come out of training camp for the Eagles. And I am hanging on every word. I'm hanging on every video clip and all that. I am loving every second of this, and it really couldn't come at a better time. And I've said many, many times before that I am not the type of person that just waits eagerly for the opportunity for the Phillies to be terrible at baseball, and then it's like, screw them. See you guys in October. Maybe the Eagles are at training camp and push the Phillies aside and only concentrate on the Eagles. No. And it's not just because, and you probably have heard me say this, and if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia for all your postcast needs from yours truly. Still get to focus on the Phillies. That is not as much fun as it used to be, being that the Phillies have now lost 4 series in a row. And I'm not going to just push aside the Phils to concentrate on the Eagles and my optimism surrounding the Eagles. But when I see this Phillies team struggling the way they are, this is what really sucks about it. So the Yankees are coming to town for a 3-game series. The Yankees are still a pretty good baseball team. They haven't played similar to the Phillies, Phillies haven't played as bad. But the Yankees had been struggling to win a series. They finally do that against the Red Sox. They have a big win yesterday. Now they're going to be coming to town, at least coming off a series win, despite a lot of difficult series they've had recently. The Phillies, they haven't won a series since before the All-Star break. It was that sweep of the Dodgers. If you would have told me after sweeping the Dodgers, that the Phillies were going to lose 2 of 3 to the A's, I'd go, I don't like it. I doubt it, but I could see a kind of, to use a football term, I kind of let down series. They take their eye off the ball, okay? And then I remember going into it and being like, all right, well, they lost, and now you're going into the All-Star break, and you're like, oh, okay, let's see what's happening here. They lost to go to the All-Star break. The All-Star game and the All-Star break couldn't come at a better time. Zach Wheeler needs a little time off. Now Ranger Suarez needed a little time off. Turns out now he needs a little bit more time off. And, the bats, they need to find some consistency again. So, all right, the All-Star game couldn't come at a better time. Then they lose 2 or 3 to the Pirates. Then they lose 2 or 3 to the Twins. And then they come home and they lose 2 or 3 to the Cleveland Guardians. Now, every team that I mentioned, except for that team called the Pirates, are a pretty good baseball team. The A's are not a good baseball team, so don't get just talking since the All-Star break. This is a baseball team that looks like they have taken their eye off the ball and lost all their focus in their last 4 series. They beat the Dodgers, and it was like, all right, kick your feet up, enjoy the All-Star game. We'll bounce back after that. Kick your feet up even more. Next thing you know, you lose 3 series since the All-Star break, haven't won a series since the All-Star break, and you lose 4 series in a row. In the meantime, Trey Turner goes cold. You have Bryce Harper, sporadic. And you have a team that yesterday went 0 for 18 between their 2-hole hitter and their 6-hole hitter. Not great. Oh, and you make a couple of acquisitions. Austin Hayes, nice to see you. Not only did you get a standing ovation, you got the first hit of the game in that Saturday game there with Tyler Phillips pitching the complete game shutout. And then you also fielded the final out. Way to be, Austin Hayes. Carlos Estevez is coming to town. He's going to be with the Phillies today. Look forward to that. Especially after yesterday watching Jose Alvarado give up the game-winning home run in the 7th inning to Stephen Kwan. Just great. And he had 2 outs in the inning. And that wasn't a good pitch to hit. And yet Kwan just found a way to become the first left-handed hitter to hit a home run off Jose Alvarado in 2 years. Good times. When it rains, it pours. When sorrows come, they come not in single spies, but in battalions. And that's what went down in the Phillies game yesterday. I look forward to, like I said, Carlos Estevez joining the team today. Look forward to hopefully seeing him come out of the bullpen. Here's one thing I do feel great about for the future of the Philadelphia Phillies. Austin Hayes, my reaction to his acquisition is I like the move. You have somebody now you can platoon. It's going to be less of Johan Rojas in the lineup. It'll be more of Brandon Marsh in center field. So you'll have that platoon right there. Austin Hayes for left-handed pitching has obviously been slugging pretty well against left-handed pitching this year, so I want to see that continue. It's an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade. It's not a game changer by any means, and I think Dave Dombrowski was a little shy on game changers when it came to this Phillies team. Because, look, let's face it, despite how terrible they've been, you look around the majority of Major League Baseball. Like, the Dodgers just avoided being swept by the Astros yesterday. Like, every team that's a top contending team, other than the Guardians being that they just put the Phillies over their knee for 2 of the 3 games, a lot of teams are struggling right now. The Yankees have certainly been the headline of struggling, supposedly good teams in baseball. The Phillies are going through their lull, and I'm not going to just dispel, it's going to happen where they're going to go through a bad time. I'm not just going to push it aside with that. It has been going on for quite some time. You go back to that Colorado series, and I said this on Friday. You go back to that Colorado series in Colorado against the Rockies, and the Phillies team since then is barely over 500. With these 2 losses, I think they're at 500 now at that point. They were 27-25 going into the weekend. It's not good. It's not good. So 1 game over 500. It's not great. What we've been seeing from this Phillies team. They seem to do this every single year. Not nearly the great start, but they show us, oh my goodness, this is the best brand of baseball we can see from the Phillies. And then that brand of baseball, goes out the window. And then they forget even what they're doing for a while. And then September rolls around and it's like, all right, let's pull focus again and let's get it going. For the people that want to highlight that the Atlanta Braves have had their struggles during this stretch, for the people that want to talk about the NL East is not on my mind. The Phillies told you in spring training, it's not about the wild card. And yeah, it's always about making the playoffs. But they've done the wild card tour. They've been the underdog. They've overachieved by the regular season's standards. They've done more than they were supposed to do. Now it's time to go in there when everyone is expecting them to beat them, and everyone is going to be giving their best and 100% focused on, you got to make sure you beat the Phillies. We're going to play the Phillies. We're going to bring our A game against the Phillies. There's no sleeping on the Phils. Like, that's out the window. When you've had the best record in baseball for as long as the Phillies have had, then I'm not just, at least they won the division. No. It's all about keeping the standard that you've set. And not to sound like Jalen Hurts about the standard's the standard. Well, the standard is the standard with the Phillies, and they have set a standard right now to be one of the best teams in baseball, have the best record in baseball, and not a team that should be limping into the postseason over the final 2.5, 3 months of the year. And yet that is what we have seen from this Phillies team. And I listened to Bryce Harper after the game yesterday, and he looked like he saw a ghost. Like his blue eyes were almost white. And I was just like, is he okay? Talking about losing 4 series in a row. Talking about possibly a lack of focus, how they'll be back and they'll find that consistency, and they don't know what it is right now. It's one of those. He didn't say that's baseball. He didn't say it's one of those things, but certainly felt like that was the overall message listening to him after the game yesterday. Because, again, you lose 4 straight dating back to right before the All-Star game. Rob Thompson could shake things up. I said this. After they lose game 1 of this series against the Guardians, I don't know how Rob Thompson isn't in the clubhouse. Somebody isn't in the clubhouse flipping a table over or something. Just something abnormal to get something going for this baseball team. And I know I always use the term high school Harry, but every once in a while, guys that have lost some focus need somebody to pull them back. And I think the guy for this team to do that is Bryce Harper. I don't think that is in character for Rob Thompson to do. But when you're trying to find consistency, it has been a tall order for the Phillies to find that consistency over the last 4 series. And their record is certainly a good testament to that. The other thing that drives you crazy about this stretch over the last 4 games is how many 3-run leads have the Phillies had and blown over this time? I mean, you had 2 in the Pirates series. You had 1 in the Twins series. 2 actually in the Twins series. And then again to yesterday, you're up 3-0. Kyle Schwarber is just bombing them out of the ballpark. And then you give up the 3-run home. That was also unfortunate, by the way, yesterday. I'll get into that a little bit later, but the way that all played out. But you blew the 3-0 lead, and then Alvarado gave up the go-ahead and game-winning home run in the 7th inning. And the Phillies had no answer. Phillies also had some opportunities to maybe play a little bit smarter brand of baseball. We'll get into that on the show as well. Mike Schmidt pointed this out. I don't know if you caught it during the game. He referenced the bunt. A leadoff walk to Kyle Schwarber. Trey Turner stepped up next. Just to touch on it right now, no one's called a bunt there for Trey Turner. And Trey Turner, who has been one of the hottest hitters in baseball for the last month plus, you're not necessarily taking the bat out of his hands in that situation. With one swing of the bat, he could change the outcome, as opposed to just help the outcome and then hand it over to other guys in the lineup that are struggling. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. If you're playing, I don't know, RBI baseball 98, if they even went up to 98, I don't know, for Sega Genesis, maybe then you lay down the bunt. If you're playing 2K, you're playing the show, maybe you lay down a bunt. But they're not asking Trey Turner to lay down. They're not asking a guy who never does it to do it. That's got to be all on Trey Turner's dime, so to speak. And with the way Ramirez was playing back at third base, yeah, it would open up a pretty easy lane for him to just drop down a bunt. And then you have runners at first and second, theoretically, with nobody out. And then Harper coming up, Bohm coming up, who actually also walked twice yesterday. Castellanos coming up. X's and O's baseball, yeah, probably the right thing to do. But when you actually take into consideration who was at the plate to do it, probably not going to work out so well. So, yeah, we'll cover it all when it comes to the Phillies as well and what is so frustrating about this team. But let's start it off with your Philadelphia Eagles. Kellen Moore, for the first time at training camp. We heard from Vic Fangio last week. I loved everything I heard from Vic Fangio. He is going to be my favorite character probably of the season. Because there's going to be times where the defense is struggling, and I think he's going to give zero you-know-whats about what he says in his press conference about who's playing and how they're playing. Oh, it's going to be a good time. So I look forward to Vic Fangio. Kellen Moore. There's a couple of things I wanted to hear from Kellen Moore, and I did hear it in the press conference. The first thing was Jalen Hurts and just picking up the scheme and picking up the offense and how much influence he has on it. Also, Jalen Hurts in terms of the run game. I'm going to use the phrase because I still think it's the most perfect way to put it. But the Eagles didn't use this phrase yesterday. Nick Sirianni hasn't used it this offseason yet. He used it last year. And last year I pointed it out. It was embrace the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game. You guys have heard me say this many times before. I embrace the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game. You liar, Nick Sirianni. Did not see that last year. I don't know if it was scheme, game plan, Jalen Hurts' own decision, Jalen Hurts' health, whatever it was. I did not see the uniqueness outside of the tush push of Jalen Hurts' game. Okay. So, Kellen Moore basically said yesterday they're going to embrace the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game. He didn't use those exact words, thank goodness, because I wouldn't believe him anyway after being scorned last year by Nick Sirianni. But this time around, he talked about Jalen Hurts in the run game and how they're going to embrace that in his play calling and an offensive scheme this year.
Yeah, certainly. It's been an excellent factor that Jalen's been able to utilize, just being an extra guy in the run game. Certainly something we want to continue to build off of. I think there's an element of just finding the games, finding the situations that are right to best suit when we utilize that. But it's a great strength of Jalen. He does an excellent job, and I think he's a really smart runner. I think that's a critical factor to that he's smart with the ball. He's smart with when to make those decisions, and I think he protects himself pretty well.
It's one of the things I've always loved about Jalen Hurts, for the people that would compare him to Carson Wentz, is that Jalen, for me, never plays hero ball. I don't see Jalen Hurts play hero ball. Yeah, sometimes I'll see him take the shot that I don't want to see him take. Seattle game. Twice. But I don't consider that hero ball. I do consider that trying to make a big play, but not necessarily all on him. When he is running, that's the way I'll differentiate it. When he's running the football, I don't see Jalen Hurts be like, "Oh no, I'm gonna take this head on. I don't know how to slide." No, he's not like that at all. He'll slide. He will dive for the extra yard, but he does it usually very responsibly. And that's what Kellen Moore is alluding to. And I agree with him. He is a pretty heads-up runner, smart runner when he's running with the football. And to not use that would be pretty dumb. And I don't think Kellen Moore is dumb. So good job, Kellen Moore. The other aspect that came into this was exactly what goes into this offense. He was asked about Nick Sirianni. He was asked about Nick Sirianni's input. And you're not going to hear at any point. Kellen Moore be like, "I haven't seen Nick. And Nick in my offensive meetings? What are you, crazy? I don't let that guy in here. I let that guy, if I'm having a bad day, I go have a cup of coffee with Nick Sirianni. And then I feel better. And that's really the extent of our conversation, which I don't doubt. I think I'd feel better if I talked to Nick Sirianni over a cup of coffee or whatever. He seems like a nice fella. But as far as the scheming and the game planning and all that stuff, Kellen Moore talked about Nick Sirianni popping in on the meetings when he's available, when Nick Sirianni's available, and they have a good time kind of chopping it up about the offense. Like, to be a fly on the wall in that room, I'd love to see how that goes. But here's one thing, and I say this with zero snark, and I know this is going to be surprising to some people, but the way I see this playing out is like Nick Sirianni, as a self-proclaimed football nerd who really loves ball, man. He loves ball, right? I love ball. He's not going to not go to the meetings. Like, yes, he's still the head coach of the football team. Yes, he's overseeing everything. Do you honestly think Nick Sirianni is going to go into a defensive backs room and then never venture in to an offensive meeting? And I don't just mean with the quarterbacks or the offensive line or the running backs, wide receivers or the tight ends. I mean, like, with Kellen Moore. And I have no doubt in my mind that Nick Sirianni is sitting in a chair in that room and he's looking at it going, "Oh, okay. Hey, what if we did that? What if we did this? How about that?" And then Kellen Moore goes, "Oh, okay." And then he could either be like, "Oh, that's a good point," or I don't really see it working like that because of this. That's how I kind of envision all this going. If you want to use the more common term, CEO, head coach, that's kind of the way the Eagles are going to be. I hate to use this word for the head coach as well, but developing him as now the CEO role that everyone likes talking about, where what I like to call it is the guidance counselor role of just checking in on every, hey, how we doing? How we doing? And for the record, I loved my high school guidance counselor, Mr. Tobias. What's up, buddy? But that's kind of how I see Nick Sirianni operating with this football team. So the meetings, I feel like he can help. He knows the players. Kellen Moore has a question about guys that he's only been around for a couple of months versus a guy like Nick Sirianni who's been around these guys for 3 years already, 3+ years already, then I'm sure that would be helpful. But that's the way I see this playing out. And that's kind of the picture that Kellen Moore drew yesterday while talking about it over the weekend in his press conference. The other thing when it came to putting this offense together was Jalen Hurts' input. Now, this I really wanted to hear. I wanted to hear how this kind of all comes together, and Kellen Moore got asked about it over the weekend.
What you want to run? Oh, yeah, Jalen's a huge part of this process. I think his experience over the course of the last few years, all the things that he's been able to accomplish, we want to build on those things. And so when there's a comfort level with a certain concept or scheme, we want to make sure we emphasize that, continue to build off it. Okay, now if this is a core play that we feel really great about, how can we complement that play? How can we protect it with a different presentation, a different look? And those are the fun conversations we get to have because we're continuing to build this thing each and every day.
It's obviously very, very early, Kellen, but do you get a feel of the presence that Saquon brings to the offense as far as it might help others, it have that kind of impact?
Yeah, Saquon's obviously a special player. You can see it out here just without even pads. Just his burst quickness, his ability to hit the hole. Obviously, he'll be a guy that you can utilize at all aspects of the field. He can be a space player, which we're excited about in the passing game. And so, he's going to be able to attack people in a lot of different ways. And that's the exciting part. It won't be, just downhill run game. He'll be able to emphasize and do some other things.
He went on to say that the music hit just right at the right time. That what he was saying about Saquon in the second part, that was intentional. I wanted you guys to hear that as well. But the first part of it, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is at the point of his career where obviously you step foot on the football field, we expect a grown-ass man playing football. A guy to take control, a guy to take charge, a guy to be assertive, and a guy to be smart. He is now a veteran quarterback. He's not 35-year-old veteran quarterback or anything like that. But this is a guy that has already been in a Super Bowl. This is a guy that has been in the playoffs 3 times. This is a guy that has been in the top 2 in the MVP voting for the vast majority of the last 2 seasons. This is a guy that has been rewarded for his efforts by the franchise with a huge deal. Hey, not Tua Tagovailoa money, but huge deal. He's the franchise quarterback. He's the future of this squad. He is the present and the future of this football team. You need to be in those meetings. You need to be putting in your 2 cents. If not only to just understand what the offense's entire goal is or their scheme, better way to put that, this entire season, and to learn the new offensive coordinator and learn how you can help him get to know you and that whole thing, then you're damn right you're going to have input. If he was just saying, oh, Jalen's just been a sponge and he's been absorbing all this great. No, I want to hear the sponge also give you a little douse of water from time to time. Here's what I think we can do here. Here's how I think we can make this better. Here's how I think we can make this better with the pieces in place. And I think that goes a long, long way for Jalen Hurts to get to add his 2 cents. And he better. I don't. Ultimately, what it comes down to is ownership. Because one of the concerns after minicamp that some of us had, and I later developed, was, all right, hold on a second. Jalen Hurts can't. I mean, it would be stupid. Like when you start going down deep, dark recesses of your brain about why this might not work, is you go back to that press conference that Jalen Hurts had where he couldn't say something nice about Nick Sirianni. And it was like, okay, is he bitter that Kellen Moore is here and Brian Johnson is not? Is he bitter that Nick Sirianni is here but now has no power, but Kellen Moore is here and has all the power, where Brian Johnson didn't have any power and he was my guy? Like, is he gonna hold that grudge and go into this with an atrocious attitude? Like, I would doubt it. No way he does that. And to hear him talking about last week about being on the same page as Kellen Moore, for Kellen Moore to talk about Jalen Hurts as glowingly as he has, like it only helps Jalen Hurts, obviously, and the Philadelphia Eagles and the fan base. If Jalen Hurts is that sponge, sure. But also adding his 2 cents gives him that ownership to the point of, yeah, sure, bring this guy in, But if Nick's still here, it ain't going to work. So, all right, whatever. This isn't my offense. It's 95% new to me. That 95% starts dwindling down and down and down and down and down if you're one of the people that is also supposed to be an idea guy behind the scenes. Jalen Hurts being on the same page as an offensive coordinator is obviously a huge deal in general, but Jalen Hurts being on the same page to the point where he's helping put things together to give his input into it, that goes a long way, because that, again, is ownership. It's not making an excuse of things being 95% different. No, you've had a full offseason. You've had a mini camp. You've had a full offseason. There's plenty of tape of Kellen Moore offenses out there. There are plenty of players to talk to that Kellen Moore has that have played for Kellen Moore that Jalen Hurts can talk to understand everything that's going to be going into this season, this first year with Kellen Moore. To hear Jalen Hurts in those meetings, I'm not shocked by it by any means. It should be happening. But just the fact that it is, and Jalen Hurts taking that ownership, is great. As far as the second part of that question and answer of that clip, talking about Saquon Barkley, that also leads into something else Kellen Moore said over the weekend about throwing to the backs. Now, I know my man John McMullen and I always go back and forth on this. And I say, sometimes a single is nice. Sometimes it's good to just get a hit. You don't always need a grand slam or a home run. No. Sometimes just getting that single is nice. Trey Turner, leadoff walk to Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, a butt would have been nice, but so would a home run. But every once in a while, it's just nice to get that home run. Or excuse me, it's nice to get that single. So my issue with Jalen Hurts last year, a lot of times, has been not taking what the defense is giving you and trying to go for a play that you can make down the field, but you can also have a nice little single right there. First, it's a 1st and 10. You just want to make sure you get some yards out of it. You drop back to pass. In years past, you have had DeAndre Swift or Miles Sanders open up the line of scrimmage, and you maybe pass up on him to hit A.J. Brown 15 yards upfield or Devontae Smith 20 yards upfield, whatever the case might be. Every once in a while, a little situational football. And don't be afraid to dump the football down to, Saquon Barkley, who now plays for you. Situational football is going to be a big thing that Jalen Hurts has to become more accustomed to this year. And Kellen Moore was asked about that. Kind of how do you corral the mentality of Jalen Hurts just to kind of be like, hey, it's okay to check down to a back. It's not a bad thing to do that. No one's going, just check down to a back. This guy sucks. No. Sometimes it's the smart play. Many times it's the smart play. Oftentimes it's the smart play. If you have the play downfield, then you take the shot. That's fine. Situationally, if the situation allows for it, calls for it, says it won't be as a costly move, you do it. Putting the ball in Saquon Barkley's hands can still be that home run. And I'll put it like this because it's an oft used analogy, the home run play or just taking the single, right? They always say in baseball, home runs should be accidents. Shouldn't go up there trying to hit home runs, right? That philosophy also applies to dumping the football down to a running back. If they're open at the line of scrimmage, if they're open in the flat, that little play can turn into a home run. Especially when the ball is being put in the hands of Saquon Barkley. I would love for Kellen Moore to not have to drill it into Jalen Hurts' head, but just make him realize, hey, if the play's not down there, it might be right here. Bink, right there. Saquon Barkley, 15, 20 yards. See you later. It's a good guy to put the ball in the hands of. And if that's something that I see this year, I will be very happy. Because that means Jalen Hurts isn't rolling the dice with that 50-50 ball down the field. That means that Jalen Hurts is just taking what the defense gives him. And good quarterbacks do that, especially when you're talking about second half situational football where you're trying to manage the game. Oh, and also cut down on turnovers. The less you put the precious pigskin in peril, the better off you are most of the time. As the old adage goes, 3 things can happen when you throw a football and 2 of them are bad. Well, then limit the damage when you can. And again, those little dink and dunks, if you will, to Saquon Barkley or even Kenny Gainwell, and that Kellen Moore did say over the weekend, you have 3 guys that can catch the football out of the backfield. So it's definitely something they want to utilize. You get Jalen Hurts to do that with I don't even need consistency, because let's face it, if you're doing that, then the number one read isn't working, unless it's the rare occasion where you're having your running back be a number one read, but whatever. Screen, for instance. If you're doing that, then the things downfield aren't working. But if it's not there, or if it's early in the game and you don't want to risk it, you get a little guy safety valve. That was the term used by the questioner over the weekend. The safety valve. Those guys could be a safety valve. Yeah, we're going to teach Jalen Hurts that, of course, could be a safety valve. Something I certainly want to see. So that's what I liked from Kellen Moore yesterday. He also talked about Jalen Hurts getting on the same page as Cam Jurgens. Those two ultimately have to come together and see how they're going to work the communication. Quarterback always has final say. Jason Kelsey would even say the quarterback always has final say. So it's just something that Jalen Hurts has to be ready for, and Cam Jurgens to be on the same page. Exactly what you want to hear with Jalen Hurts learning the new offense. Everything's been smooth the first couple days of camp. Good to hear that as well from the offensive coordinator. Now this brings us to James Bradberry. Honesty is the best policy. But when James Bradberry says this was his idea to move to safety, I do not believe him. This is the first I've heard that it was James Bradberry's idea to move to safety. Here's JB on it yesterday.
No, honestly, it was my thought. After the season, I went to them. We had a meeting, and I just wanted to try it out.
Why?
Why not?
How to deal with all the off-season stuff, the uncertainty. I don't know if you're looking for something. How did you deal with them in your process?
Hold on, you asked that again? That joke machine behind you, I can't hear.
There's been a lot of reports tonight about your future here and everything else. How would you deal with that during the off-season? Where do you see yourself, say, come the regular season time?
A lot of that is out of my control. As far as right now, I'm still under contract for 2 years. I got one year guaranteed. So I try not to put too much thought into it, Just try to enjoy my time with my family. Of course, I was up here for OTAs for a little minute. Just try to do my part as far as whatever the coaches asked me to do. And that was it. I try not to put too much thought into it, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. First thing, his idea. I don't believe you. You mean to tell me that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Vic Fangio, Darius Slay, who Slay said many times that they have communication. We have communication. You mean to tell me of all those people to talk, the first person to say this was my idea or this was James Bradberry's idea was James Bradberry? I don't think so. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Like in Vic Fangio addressing the media last week, when he was asked point blank about James Bradberry and people converting from corner to safety and how difficult it is, he never said, well, James came to us with this idea and we told him it'd be difficult, but if he wants to do it, he can do it. And we'll give it a shot. Like that hasn't even come out. Now, overall, anyone that wants to stay with the Eagles and wants to find, if they can, like, for instance, we've had other players that might not be that good at one position say, no, I'm good at this position. I can do this. You watch. I'm going to show you. And we're like, I don't think you really do this. And then they stick with it and then they fail. I don't mind a guy being like, all right, so that didn't really work out last year at the cornerback position. I know I played better than that, but let's give it to safety. Let's try to be a safety in all this. Let's try to find a silver lining in all of it. Here he is talking about what went into the decision of him to, when he was asked point blank also, why? Why not? Not convinced. Not convinced. Here's what went into it a little bit more.
So after the season, of course, I didn't have the best season. It's going into my 9th year. I know they signed Isaiah Rodgers as well. Of course, he wasn't able to participate at the time when I requested that. But I knew eventually he was probably going to end up being on the team. We had a lot of young guys in the room at corner anyways. I feel like we was a little lighter at safety. And I can still play corner. It's not that I'm not going to play corner. Right now, my thought process was to just try to be a valuable piece to the team. And I feel like picking up safety, learning new roles, and I also at the end of the season last year I was playing a little bit dime, so I was already playing inside a little bit, which is safeties do that. They play dime from time to time. I was also playing nickel, so I was like, why not? I know. Then the draft came, so I kind of figured they was gonna draft corners anyways because I didn't play too well. So that was kind of my thought process. And then now I'm learning safety. Those guys are getting a lot more reps, and if the time comes to where I'm still on the team and they want me to play corner, I'm gonna be ready.
If the time comes and I'm still on the team, first off, if there was any doubt from anyone over the offseason as to what I was saying or anybody else was saying that James Bradberry has played his last game as an Eagle, you know who heard a lot of that? James Bradberry. He heard a lot of that. He looked at last year and went, well, that sucked. I didn't play very well. I'm still under contract here. Let me see what my other options are. So the Eagles draft a couple corners. The Eagles bring in a different corner. They sign a safety. Like, where does James Bradberry fit in all this? Keely Ringo came on strong last year. Like, you're going into the offseason with, I was terrible, that younger guy was better. Like, that's not a good feeling to go into the offseason with. So if you want to entertain the idea that this was his idea, saying, no, guys, maybe it's safety. Well, hey, all right, fine. Good for him to at least want to be versatile. And he did talk about that as well. Here he is talking about more of what went into the decision and how he likes to be versatile.
Be somewhere where you have that opportunity.
I try to be adaptive, I'm on the team right now. So as far as, like, while I'm on the team, I want to find a role on this team. And I feel like if I'm a versatile player, then I'm going to be a role. And, of course, I want to start. Now, where I'm going to start, I don't know. But I'm working right now at safety to see if I can learn it and play that and be a valuable asset to the team right there. And, of course, we already have 2 starters. And we also drafted a guy in the first round. And Isaiah Rodgers is really good. So I'm just trying to find my role right now.
Why do you think?
Good for him as far as all that goes. I just don't see how it works. When Vic Fangio is talking about the difficulty of making the transition, he really puts it in front of James Bradberry like, yeah, good luck, man. Like, you're under contract right now. We don't want to eat a bunch of money. So, yeah, we'll allow you to. Hey, you think you can do this other thing? Great. Then maybe that'll help us trade you. Maybe that'll help us stomach the idea that you're still on the books for a boatload of money for the position. Yeah, you go ahead and be versatile. What was the word he used? Transitional? What was it? Anyway. All right, good luck to you. If it works, then it only helps the Eagles. Most likely trade. Because I don't think that they've been trying to develop Reed Blankenship. I don't think that they brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I don't think they're crossing their fingers that Sidney Brown is healthy soon enough to, be ready for a couple of weeks into the season. So if you can be better than what you are right now, then that helps everybody. So good for James Bradberry to at least have that type of mindset. Yeah. But if there was any doubt that he had been hearing the conversation, probably not even just outside the NovaCare complex, but inside the NovaCare complex, then he realizes he needed to shake things up. But you rarely ever hear, well, the thing that really stuck out to me overall, aside from the specifics of this Philadelphia Eagles team right now, but you never hear a player that open and honest about being out there on a ledge, being on thin ice like that. I'm going to control what I can control, and I'm going to go out there and do whatever I can to help this team win. That was kind of the overall message. When he was asked about potential trades and all that stuff, very wisely he said, I let Howie handle that. I'm just going to let Howie handle that. Good enough. Fine. But it's not lost on us that he realizes the thin ice that he is on right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what? Good for him to at least not be in denial about it. Also, there was a sit-down interview one-on-one on Eagles.com with Cam Jurgens. Speaking about guys who get it in a much different way, because James Bradberry gets it in a way of like, I'm not going to be here probably. Cam Jurgens gets it in a way that like, oh, I'm going to be here for a long time. And I can't do anything about people going like, oh, are you Jason Kelce? Oh, you're not Jason Kelce? Okay. But he really understands that. He understands the role he has to play on this team. He's not being asked to step into any leadership role. He's not like, hey, all of a sudden be a 35-year-old veteran center who's won a Super Bowl and, as Cam Jurgens put it, the most popular guy in the state. Yeah, go be that guy immediately. No, let's get rid of that. Thank you. But if you could go out there and do a lot of the same things physically that Jason Kelce could do, then go out there and do it. If you could go out there and get on the same page as your quarterback and pick up protection and know where you're going to be shifting that protection as a center, you go out there and you do it. Will you do it with the same efficiency and quickness and readiness that Jason Kelce did? Probably not. But if you can get close to it, then you're going to be set up. You're going to be starting off pretty well here in Philadelphia, there, young fella, as the center of the future. I do recommend going on Eagles.com and checking out that interview because that was good and some good inside stuff there as well, just to give you a little bit more of a mindset from Cam Jurgens. He did address the media last week also, said a lot of the same stuff as far as just being him. I do remember, and it made me go back and watch a little bit of his mini camp press conference because like I felt bad for the guy. Like I felt 7 or 8 questions in, one of those questions should have been like, oh, wait, hold on a second. So you're not Jason Kelce? Because every question was about filling the shoes of Jason Kelce. Not fun. So more training camp throughout this week. And then before you know it, preseason football. The appetizer to the main course, obviously. Your Philadelphia Phillies. Our Philadelphia Phillies. I'm all up in my feelings right now with the Phils. Yesterday's game in particular. You're at a spot right now because Ranger Suarez needs some time off where Colby Allard was pitching for the Phillies. I felt really bad. Well, I felt good that they got him 3 runs early. Thank you, Kyle Schwarber. It was 3-0 by the close of the 3rd inning. There were a couple of things there that drove me crazy, but I'll get to those later. But the situation set up in the 4th inning that got Allard. Ramirez led off with an infield single in that 4th inning. It was to the left of Alec Boehm. He made a great diving stop. Ramirez busting it down the line, smelling an infield single, got the infield single. So if that ball's hit a little bit closer to Alec Boehm, you most likely have you're leading off with an out. Unfortunately, game of inches, Ramirez beats it out. Boehm couldn't get much on the throw as he was trying to get back to his feet. Very next hitter steps up to the plate. Fly gets another infield single. This one was to shortstop just off the mitt of Trey Turner. Trey, potentially a diving Trey Turner, comes up with it. Maybe he gets the force out at second base. So now you only have 1 runner on, but instead with 2 infield singles, back-to-back infield singles, you have a runner on first and second and nobody out. Noel then steps up to the plate and cranks a meatball 436 feet to center field, the angled wall in center field where Tom McCarthy made that catch so many years ago, with Jamie Moyer egging him on to throw the ball back. 436 feet to center field, tie ball game. Phillies blow a 3-0 lead, a 3-run lead, again. And what had been going well for Allard in this spot start for the Phils, all of a sudden went up in flames. He's able to get out of the inning after that. Freeman flies out to center field. Rocchio flies out to center field after that. 3-3 game. They go to Gregory Soto in the 5th inning. He needs 12 pitches to get through that. Actually, pitched okay in the 5th inning. Not a high leverage situation. Trey Turner made a great diving play in that one to help him out. Then he got Martinez to look at a fastball. Sat him down with that to end the inning. 12 pitches, like I said, in the 5th inning there. And then Philly's offense was done. But some bad luck on Allard's part there in the 4th inning. The thing I want to get into that really pissed me off yesterday, and I have been as close to Paulie Pom-Poms for Nick Castellanos as you could probably be. I know we always talk about him swinging at the first pitch, and yes, that has certainly been his approach. His approach over the last month has been better. I feel like I have seen Nick Castellanos in more 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats than I have in the last 3 years of him in Philadelphia, including this one, or 2 previous years, I should say, of him being in Philadelphia. So that's a step in the right direction. And I am not one to say never swing at the first pitch. You know that whole thing? I don't like it generally. I would like guys to work counts, but I also understand when you could be thinking first pitch fastball and you want to jump on it. Or this guy has a tendency to throw a first pitch slider. I want to try to get on top of it, whatever. So I don't have as much an issue as many people. When people bring it up, I always talk about situations. So the situation that drove me crazy yesterday with Nick Castellanos, and the Phillies actually ended up getting damage in this third inning thanks to Kyle Schwarber's second home run in his second at-bat, in as many at-bats. He steps up there. Kyle Schwarber gets a 2-2 hanging slider and puts it 404 feet out after Garrett Stubbs led off the inning with a single. So you go from 1-0 to 3-0, courtesy of Kyle Schwarber. Trey Turner grounds out to short. Bryce Harper works a walk. It was a 3-2 count. He works the walk. Alec Boehm comes up. He works a walk on 5 pitches. Of the 7 previous pitches to Nick Castellanos stepping up to the plate, 1 was a strike. So maybe if you're Nick Castellanos and you're paying attention, you go, Cantillo he might have lost his arm slot a little bit here. Let me see if I can work this a little bit. Does Nick Castellanos think that? No, he doesn't think that. He thinks, let me hack at the first pitch. I believe he fouled it away. Bottom line, whether he fouled it away or swung and missed, he swung at the first pitch. I'm sorry, excuse me. 7 of the previous 8 pitches were out of the strike zone. So even to make my point even further, Castellanos swings at the first 2 pitches and flies out to right field. Hayes steps up there, couldn't check his swing. He gets called out on strikes. That was the end of the inning. So you have 2 runners on at that point with 1 out. First and second, 1 out. Castellanos swings at the first pitch, flies out to right field, and then Hayes goes up there and he strikes out, can't hold up his swing. 3-0 still, but no further damage. Then later in the ball game, it happened again. 7th inning. You had that situation I pointed out earlier that Mike Schmidt talked about. Personally, I'm not laying down the bunt with Trey Turner. I don't think Rob Thompson is calling for a bunt with Trey Turner in the 7th inning. At this point, Alvarado had already given up the go-ahead home run to Quan in the top of the 7th inning. Bottom of the 7th inning, Kyle Schwarber's facing Gaddis. He works a walk, another full count. Trey Turner steps up next. Schmidt suggests laying down the bunt. I get it from a tactical standpoint, but then you're taking the bat essentially out of the hands of Trey Turner, one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the last month and a half, really all season. He's been great when he's been playing and not hurt, obviously. But he flies out to right field. So now you have runner on first with 1 out. Harper steps up there. He just misses 2 pitches. One of the pitches he fouls away. And if you watch the game, then you heard Bryce Harper foul one down the left field line. And you heard a very audible F-bomb. So audible, in fact, that Michael Jack Schmidt even went, oh. Yeah, okay. And like, yeah, we all heard it. And that only solidified in my brain, oh, that definitely came from Bryce. Because like no one in the crowd is reacting to, I think it was a 1-0 pitch that he fouled away with that type of rage. So, of course, it was Bryce Harper. Then Bryce Harper gets another cookie, and he flies out to right field, gets under it, just a hair, and he spikes the bat, slams it into the ground in great disgust. And like, oh, yeah, no, that was definitely him dropping the F-bomb a minute ago. And then, of course, he showed his frustration. And he's been showing a lot of frustration in the dugout recently. And that was one of those examples. But then Nick Castellanos comes up after the second walk of the inning. So Alec Boehm draws another walk. So now you got 2 runners on and 2 outs. First and second, 2 outs. Castellanos comes up, hacking at the first pitch again. This time he flies out to right field. Situationally, little patience. 2 at-bats, 2 previous guys in the inning walk, and you go up hacking. Not a great strategy. For as well as, again, I've been Paulie Pom-Poms, Nick Castellanos more than anybody. I'll acknowledge a 270 batting average over the last nearly 2 months of the season. That's great. That's a lot closer to the all-star that we saw last year in the first half of the season. If that guy's going to start to rear his ugly head now, or in this case, gorgeous head, when it comes to the way he presents the plate now, that was a Gabe Kapler term, then I'll take it. I like that. But when you go back to hacking at first pitches, that's not what a smart approach is. And when he has a better approach to the plate, that's where he really starts producing. And those two instances yesterday drove me bonkers. Jose Alvarado. Just like Gregory Soto pitching in the 5th inning, we're about to see a lot of Jose Alvarado in the 6th inning. We're about to see a lot of Jose Alvarado in. This starting pitcher doesn't have it today. He pitches in the 5th. With Carlos Estevez being here, an all-star last year, the Phillies now have it set up for 7th, 8th, and 9th with a mixture of Strom, Hoffman, Estevez. Rob Thompson is not one to name a closer. Hey, look, when he had a closer in the first half of last year to the point of being an all-star in Craig Kimbrell, then fine and dandy. When you have that guy that is ready for that role, regardless of matchup, they have that guy again in Carlos Estevez. So I would expect the way this works out for the Phillies is you cross your fingers, your starter goes 6 innings, then Strom comes in for the 7th, depending on matchups probably, and then Hoffman comes in for the 8th, and then Carlos Estevez comes in for the 9th. Like the pickup, of the 2 pickups, I think this is going to be the more impactful pickup. You're going to have a lot more confidence every day that you go into that 9th inning, you're going to have somebody ready to take the ball and somebody that has had success in that role. So I look forward to that playing itself out. I see the matchup thing more so playing out in the 7th and 8th inning than I do in the 9th inning. But Rob Thompson, after the acquisition, talked about that he's got to talk to Estevez first before he does anything. He joked that he's got to talk to a lot of people. But anyway, it's a good pickup. It's going to be impactful for the Phillies, and I like what Dave Dombrowski did. As far as other moves go, I don't see any other major move happening. If you were going to make a bigger move before the deadline tomorrow at 6 p.m., I feel like that move would have been made, and I feel like you would have saved more of your assets. Like I don't think Aiden Miller is all of a sudden going to get moved. I don't think Justin Crawford's all of a sudden going to get moved. I think they're going to hold on to what they got right now. And the fact that they didn't have to part ways with some of their top guys, their top 3, 4, 5 guys, that's a great thing. So credit to Dave Dombrowski for that. For still, I think, making the ball club better and not spending top dollar, so to speak. Could it come back and bite the Phillies in the butt later? Yeah. Could Luis Robert Jr. end up with the Braves? Great. I know that people have laid out the doomsday scenario of the Phillies then facing the Orioles in the World Series and getting a game, the clinching game closed out by Sir Anthony Dominguez and Craig Kimbrell. First off, I love your optimism that they're going to get past Whit Merrifield and the Atlanta Braves. You think they get past Whit Merrifield's Atlanta Braves? I don't know. No, I still think the Phillies are going to the World Series, despite the recent struggles, as terrible as it has been. I was trying to figure it out how many 3-run leads they've blown since the All-Star break. It's been, first off, too many. 1 is too many. They did it, I think it was twice in the first Pirates game. They did it again later in the series. Then they did it again against the Twins. And they did it again yesterday. It hasn't been fun. I'm going to go at 3. And I'm going to go at 4. 4 3-run leads blown. Good times. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone. Create an account. Use promo code FARZI on MyBookie. MyBookie.ag and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. How about the Game Time app? After this series, Phillies going away for a while. If you want to see Phillies and Yankees, just see your Phillies and all, download the Game Time app to your phone. Create an account. Use promo code FARZI and get $20 off your first purchase. Folks, after this series, Phillies go 3 in Seattle, 3 in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, 4 in Arizona. The Phillies, after this series, will not be playing at home again until August 13th against the Miami Marlins. So maybe you want to download the Game Time app. Maybe you want to get $20 off your first purchase by using promo code FARZI. But here's what you get into the Game Time app. You get the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less money on another ticketing site, the Game Time app will credit your account 110% of the difference. How about that? That's the Game Time guarantee. They also have last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals, even ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So let's say you're using the Game Time app to go to a concert or a comedy show. You might miss the opening act. You might miss the middle, but you'll see the headliner, the one you really want to see. All courtesy of the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Terms apply. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? Our friend Brett over at Sky Motorcars. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at skymotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine Monday morning. Daniel, yo, Daniel. IBH, good morning, everyone. Good morning, IBH. Twiz, what's popping? Dev, it's been a while. Dev, nice to see you. Farzy, hardest working man. Oh, God bless you. Steen and DeJean coming back. DeGene coming back soon. Offense, defense, neck and neck. Neither one is overshadowing the other. If you remember a wonderful picture entitled Necessary Roughness, I believe it was Necessary Roughness, with Scott Bakula, Kathy Ireland, Rob Schneider, Robert Loggia, I think I pronounced that right. You'll have the big O and I have the little D. That's what I think of all the time when I think about offense and defense outshining one another. The offense is always going to outshine the defense. Very rarely is the defense going to outshine the offense. But with this offense in Philadelphia, I predict chalk. The offense is going to be incredible. The offense can be the star of the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Dev, nice to have you back. IBH, what's going on? Probably not surprising the Birds offense is clicking so well. Wide receiver 3 is the only player not on the roster last year. A lot of new pieces on defense. IBH, great assessment. I concur. Sean Kilrain, what's popping? Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Sean Gillespie, can these Phillies ever win another series or be consistent in a positive way? I hope so. Wait, Tango is a breath of fresh air? What? Oh, that's awesome. I know I've texted about Vic Fangio. I need to see if autocorrect. Yep. Oh, that's great. Fangio to Tango. That's amazing. I like the fact that Moore plans on using Saquon Barkley in various ways. I agree. Don't say process here, Kellen. Yeah. Doniak? Thomas, I think everything is good. I think we think too much into what is perceived to be an issue. Probably. I think if there was a real problem, Nick would be gone. Fair. They've obviously worked it out. Okay. Big Rhythm, what's going on, Big Rhythm? Did you hear Campbell's comments on the practice? Is a grind, and the other players told him this different than last year. They went 1-7. I heard a little bit of his press conference. The grind comment I read, so I didn't hear him say it. Here's what it reminded me of, Big Rhythm. It reminded me of, who was it? Oh, man. I can't remember who it was, if it was Linval Joseph or Ndamukong Suh. Oh, and it was either one of those two that said it, and then I know it was also said by Robert Quinn. Not a great name to bring up, I know. However, one of the things Fletcher Cox told these guys when they came to Philadelphia was like, look, this is different here. Like, we go at it. Are we the Detroit Lions where we're really going at it in practice? No. But when we talk about a grind here in Philly, it's perfection or bust. And unfortunately, last year was bust. We should move on. This season, we'll tell the true story. Let's just wait. Oh, no. Oh, he did it, folks. Or they did it. We're not a wait and see show. You can always say wait and see. Always. But that's not what it's about. It's about what you think right now. Where are you at? What's your confidence level at right now that it will happen? Wait and see is a big on the fence comment. And there are no fences on the Farzy Show. We're a fenceless environment. But I appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Twins, if Jalen can take the next step, manipulating the pocket the pocket better instead of always rolling out, cutting off half the field, go through progression quicker, it starts checking down more. Look out. Twiz, I would agree with all that. April. Good morning, April. What's going on? Yankees coming in on a lot of momentum. I don't like it. Well, the Yankees, like the Phillies, have had a lot of struggles in trying to win series. But the Yankees, what I don't like, April, on that point, is beating the Red Sox 2 out of 3 and then coming to Philly. And the Red Sox have been hot. The Yankees have not been hot. I don't want to look back on this and the Phillies be like, wow, the Phillies really helped the Orioles establish being the best team in baseball. The Phillies really helped the Red Sox establish a team that looks like they could make the playoffs. Now the Yankees get ready against the Phils. No, thank you. Any sports, what's going on? Eagles don't have to play situational football. They just have to utilize the ground possession rugby style offense and win the field possession. Every single football team has to play situational football at some point. I'm not saying first through second quarter and through third quarter, you're like, all right, let's just be methodical here. Situational football. No, situational football, more so for me, is how you manage the game overall. Every team has to do it. Every team, no matter how great, faces a 3rd and 2. And they're up 5 points in the fourth quarter. And they need to figure out, all right, here we go. We just need the first down here. Let's just get that first down. You don't need to bomb it down the field to A.J. Brown. That's what I'm talking about. Every team has to practice that. The ground possession rugby style of offense. I like rugby a lot. I've covered a lot of like sevens tournaments in my time. And I don't see any similarities. And you could talk about 15s as well. I think that's more what you're talking about anyway. But yeah, if you're talking about the tush push, fine. But ground game, I don't think that's ever going to happen with the Eagles. Shame JB is such a good guy. I hope he can bounce back with better coaching. I hope so too. Dev, sounds like JB convo may have happened during exit interviews last season. Probably. Richard Butts, what else do you want him to say to be honest? No, I applaud everything he says. I just don't agree with him that it was his idea. Ty, what's going on, Ty? Oh, do we have another special guest? Hello, darling. Good morning.
Daddy.
What happened?
No.
Is that a bug bite?
Yeah.
What?
It's almost bleeding.
It's not bleeding. It's just a little red. We'll take care of that in a minute. It's just a little red. It's a little bug bite. You all right?
It's pretty about to bleed.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Nope, no blood. You're good. It's no blood. Do you want to show everyone the little bug bite? What do you think of that? Hold on, let me take this down. What do you think, guys? Hold it up a little bit. Can you guys see that? It's a little red. It's a little bit of a bug bite.
You're hurting me.
Oh, that hurt. Picking you up. What hurt more, that or the bug bite?
The bug.
All right. Fine. She said the bug bite for the record. She'll bounce back. She's a fighter. Walk it off, sweetheart. What's up, Far? What's up, Ty? What's going on, man? Get Bradberry out of here. Again, yeah, the only thing I don't believe him on is it was my idea. James, what's going on? Sean Gillespie, how you doing? Phillies have been tired since the All-Star break. They've been tired a long time. April. Someone get them a Red Bull or something. They need to wake up. A little espresso. You know what they need? They need like Team Italy had the Nespresso machine in the dugout. Maybe a little espresso machine for the Phillies. Adam, what's going on? Seems like every time get a 3-run lead, seems like always blow it away. Then send Alvarado back down to AAA. He does not have the same fight that he had last year. Charles Dead up 5 points. I know I might as well just be talking about that Seattle game. April, what's going on? Yeah, little toots. Slap a Band-Aid on it, keep her from scratching the heck out of it. She's like her father in that regard. I was watching the Phillies game a couple weeks ago outside on my patio, set up the TV on the back patio, and I was loving it. And then I noticed I was itching my leg, and then I noticed I'd been itching my leg for an hour, and then I looked down. I was just like, I'm an idiot. I mean, I knew it already, but just more evidence. Sean Gillespie, yeah, man, little MacGyver, still at it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Thank you so much. Let's get to the morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. The United States destroyed Serbia yesterday in the Olympics in basketball. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but the Olympics started. And they got some people all up in their feels. But anyway, as far as the basketball went, Joel Embiid not playing great. I want you to know I don't care. I'm going to take nothing from Joel Embiid's Olympics. He plays a very different style. The Sixers with Joel Embiid play a very different style than everybody else in the NBA. This is the Olympics. This is very, very different. If he is struggling in the Olympics, I don't care. I've actually gotten to a point where I'm like, all right, yeah, fine. Don't play a lot. Don't play a lot. Don't make me concerned. Like Jason Tatum didn't play. You know what I mean? And that was planned. Steve Kerr went up to him, according to Steve Kerr, went up to him before the game. I was just like, this might play out where you don't play. Just to let you know. And then Steve Kerr after the game was like, yeah, I feel like an idiot for not playing him, but it's just kind of the way that the game played out. So, yeah, I don't really care about Joel Embiid in the Olympics other than he stays healthy and he's around some great athletes. This can only help him. If he stays healthy, knock on wood, this can only help him. So I've gotten to that point with Joel Embiid playing in the Olympics or lack thereof in the Olympics. So, yeah, that's where I am on Joel Embiid. They won 110-84 against Serbia. Way to go. Phillies back at it tonight, 6:40 start time against the Yankees, and they start up that 3-game series in South Philly. Prime Video will also have the game tonight, so there you go. 6:40 start time. You're going to have Zach Wheeler going against Luis Hill, 10-5 on the season with a 3.10 ERA as the righty for the Yankees. Wheeler is coming in 10-4, coming off a 7 scoreless inning appearance and 3 hits against the Twins. He's got a 2.55 ERA. Hill comes into this game, 26 years old, right-handed pitcher, went up against the Mets 5 innings. In his last 3 starts against the Red Sox, the Orioles, and the Mets, 3 times he went into of them, no more than run. All 3 of them were earned in those 3 games combined. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Back with you guys tonight on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia postcast. See you guys then. Have a great rest of your day.